And good morning. I'm meteorologist Ben Peine. It's been at 10 on this Thursday. Happy Friday Eve. October the 23rd, a chilly start across the area. I saw most of the readings this morning around sunrise in the 30s. I didn't see any frost, but if you saw some frost, let me know. And of course, we'll wait for some folks to get on board here before we really dig into the forecast. We actually have a freeze warning for tonight that we'll talk about. That just means there's a potential for freezing temperatures and some frost, so you might want to protect your plants. We will no longer have frost or freeze warnings once the growing season comes to an end here very soon. And then we're going to look ahead to some rain chances, maybe a little rain chance for this weekend, especially on Sunday. And then we'll look ahead to some wetter conditions for next week. So as usual, plenty to talk about here on the show this morning, taking a live look outside right now at a beautiful blue sky all across the area. Once again, not a cloud in the sky, and it is, again, a gorgeous start to the area. Here's another live look outside with the Falls of the Ohio Foundation.org camera, and just a few little clouds out there with those temperatures in the 30s and 40s. Take a look at the current conditions here for a second. Let me get rid of that and pull up. Actually, here's a look at the low temperatures with the Indiana Mesonet. Let me switch this out here. And again, that's a live look here at the corner of Vincennes and Market in uptown New Albany. But here's a look. This is the Indiana Mesonet. So this is a collection of weather observation stations from Purdue. They run this. And up around Indianapolis, 32 degrees. Our closest weather observation station with this network is in Crawford County, the schools there at 36. So when you're in the mid 30s, it is technically cold enough at ground level, underneath the grass, or on top of the grass, I should say, to get a little bit of that frost. But I didn't see any. Again, maybe in some of the typical low-lying areas, typical cold spots may have seen a little bit of that touch of frost on the pumpkin this morning, but a better chance of some of the frost around the area for tomorrow morning. Again, much of our area under that freeze watch. Current conditions, here's a look. Let me reload our extolmag.com/weather website here. Again, you can get all your weather resources. You got hour-by-hour forecasts. You got 7-day forecasts, all the good stuff here. And today is Thursday, by the way, so there's that drought monitor update. But we are out of the drought, which is good news across our area. Here's the latest map release today. And the drought continues up to the north and northeast, northern Indiana into northwestern Ohio under severe drought or even extreme drought there. But we are out of it here around the Ohio River in southern Indiana and Kentucky. So that is good news. Again, worse drought conditions off to the northwest. Okay, back to the current conditions. This is the big old interactive radar. Nothing on the radar here for us for a couple days, it looks like. And temperatures starting to make their way into the 40s from the 30s. I would say 30s outside the city. I think it was lower 40s in Louisville, technically, for the low temperature. The official climate site, the weather observation station at Standiford Field or Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport, typically or almost always a bit warmer than our outlying areas. So in the countryside, some of the valley locations dipping down to the mid-30s this morning. And again, gorgeous conditions across the area. This is the Falls of the Ohio Foundation.org camera, looking at the waterfront there and another beautiful blue sky. So jacket weather for sure. And some folks are wondering about the peak leaf peeping season. So the fall foliage, I think we're about a week out from hitting our peak in southern Indiana, maybe a little bit later for central Kentucky. So your last week of October, first week of November, I think we're going to be peaking out across the area. But starting to see some more and more of that color. And unfortunately, a lot of times the trees don't line up. I've seen some trees in my woods and around my yard already lost almost all their leaves. So they don't always match up perfectly for their peak color. But anyway, there's a look at that. There's also an interesting storm, Melissa, here in the Caribbean. We'll talk a little bit about. We'll talk more about the freeze warning on the way and we'll look at the long range forecast. We'll look at some wetter conditions as we go into next week as well. So as usual, there's plenty to talk about here this morning. We've got Beverly Haggis popping in the comments here this morning. Good morning to you here at 10:04 on this October the 23rd, 36 at 6:45. Thank you for that report. That matches up well with what we saw with the Indiana Mesonet weather stations. And cheers, by the way. We've usually got Big Happy here. Hope you guys are having a good, cool morning out there. I've heard the holdouts with the furnaces, more and more are dropping off. I was an early drop off weeks ago, but I've seen some comments that more and more heaters are starting to turn on after last night. Good morning to Perry Porter. Made sure my air was off and the heat was on defrost. There you go. And Vicky Berger is not ready for the cold weather. Thanks for watching on YouTube, you guys, as well. And thanks for liking or subscribing on our YouTube page. That is Extol Media, EXTOL. Or, of course, we got the live stream up, as always, on extolmag.com/weather. And you can like or subscribe our channel right there. Oops, I'm talking about it. I should bring it up. So we've got our live stream up right there. Of course, streaming right now at extolmag.com/weather. Also, Extol Weather on Facebook and on my Facebook page. So thank you for wherever you're watching from. All right, on this Thursday, we've got Lillian Lasley with a good morning 48 now at her house. And Jeanette Pierce with 38 this morning in Litchfield at 6:30. So chilly all throughout the Commonwealth and the Hoosier State. And we got a good morning from Bedford, present and accounted for. I'm taking roll call. You're in. All right, thank you. And Heather Hennessy. It's so cold already here in Henry County. Yes, all over the area. If you don't like the cold, misery loves company, I guess. It's out there. It's happening. We're getting deeper into the fall season. And we're going to get a little bit colder for tonight. So let's talk about that freeze watch. It doesn't mean everything's going to freeze up. I think most areas will probably dip down again to the mid-30s, but I think some outlying areas with a lighter breeze, clear sky, have a little better chance of some frost. So there might be some areas, again, Lanesville is kind of a typical cold valley down there, Borden Valley. I think of those areas that are typically colder than other areas might get a decent freeze. 32 degrees might kill off some sensitive plants. So that's all that means with the freeze watch. It just relates to the growing season. So let's go ahead and bring up the forecast here. If you're new to the show, Ben at 10 a.m., Monday through Friday. I like to give the current conditions, the forecast off the bat. We'll dig deeper into the forecast through about 10:20 or so, and then start to look at the weather models for a while, the weather nerd portion, and then we'll get back to a forecast recap here for you. So let's bring it up to the stage. Your forecast here, the weather headlines. Freeze warning tonight with lows in the 30s, mostly dry through Saturday. The GFS tries to bring in a couple light rain showers in southern Indiana Saturday, late Saturday, more towards Saturday evening, but the other weather models are dry. So mostly dry through Saturday. Sunday starting to pick up some showers, and then more rain chances. It looks like maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week could be a bit on the wet and gloomy side with some cool temperatures as well. We're kind of leveling off in the upper 50s and low 60s through the long range. Here's the map of the freeze warning for tonight. And there you can see stretching throughout all of southern Indiana and into much of Kentucky as well. And if I bring this back up here, let me get rid of that and bring this up. So if you click on, if you're at extolmag.com/weather and you go down to the interactive radar here, you can click on other alerts and you can see that freeze warning in the light blue, frost advisory in the purple, and just check that out. We're among many chilly residents here over the Ohio Valley into the Appalachians, much of the Midwest under frost advisories or freeze warnings. Again, part of the growing season is when that comes out. All right, let me get rid of that and bring this one back up here. So that play ball forecast for today, kind of like yesterday, but not as windy. Today, winds around 10 to 20, had some gusts around 30 yesterday. So 61, that high temperature for today. And then right after that high temperature, that sun angle lowers, and you're going to be dipping down to the 50s pretty quickly. So definitely some jacket weather. We had a good fire last night to sit around. Thankfully, it was hot enough to keep us decently warm. Northwest wind around 10 to 20 miles per hour. All right, before we dig into, again, deeper into that forecast, want to give a shout out to our partners as well. And let me bring up lionsroofingco.com. That quickly right there. So you can go to LYONS roofingco.com if you want to get your roof checked out before the crazy late fall, winter season rolls around, make sure everything's in good shape. You get free estimates right there. And they've got you covered on both sides of the river throughout Louisville Metro. So anywhere, Kentucky and Indiana, you can give them a shout, 812-294-3595. And they've got a careers section. We like to talk about opportunities here in Southern Indiana. Roofing repair technician job opening there. Speaking of job openings and career potential, upper right-hand corner here at Libs Paving, L-I-B-S, B as in Ben. Top asphalt paving contractor around. You can go to the career section there in the upper right-hand corner. I'm scrolling right now, and there you can see there's some opportunities there. Also, moving along here to our friends at Ivy Tech Community College. What a resource here in our backyard, powering the workforce throughout Southern Indiana and much of Kentucky as well. They got dozens of 2-year programs, and they've got a fun event coming up, Trunk or Treat Fest. Mark it on your calendars, October 30th on their campus there. So they're going to have a fun time. IUS Fest, our other post-secondary educational institution, is this Saturday. That is presented by NWSB, so I will be out there at their booth 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. if you want to come out there and say hello on the IUS campus. But back to Ivy Tech Community College, you go to locations, and you can click on the Sellersburg, and you're going to find out a lot more there. I recommend, too, if you're interested, definitely if you're in high school, get the dual credit if you can do that free college credits. Then one-on-one help here with Tuesdays at the Tech. You can customize your visit, get career counseling, how to pay for it, how to move ahead here, and they'll meet you where you're at, no matter where you're at in life. And if you want to get a quote, they've had some price reductions here at American Family Insurance. And tell Michael Long that I sent you. He's my insurance agent, 812-578-3072. You can go to amfam.com, and you'll see this page right here where you can get connected. And Michael Long's agency is an American Star certified agency, excellence in customer experience. All right. Again, thanks to our partners there. Beautiful blue sky across the area. We'll about to dig deeper into that forecast. Orlean Whitlow popping in this morning with a beautiful 37 degrees in Hodgenville. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much for the comment and the temperature reading there in your backyard. It's great to see those readings matches up with the forecast and what we're seeing in other areas as well. So thanks for those reports. And again, another live look at the Brown County, Indiana. What a beautiful spot this time of the year. We're almost there, guys, almost to the peak color across the area. All right, back to the forecast we go. How y'all doing on this Thursday? We're almost to the weekend here. Moving right along. How many days until we got your weather countdown? We got your weather jokes. You got your weather history. Then we got the 7-day forecast. Then we got your weather models. We got it all loaded up here on our Thursday show. Time change in 10 days. Average highs in the 50s in 19 days. Average first flurries in 23 days. Thanksgiving in just 35 days. The countdown continues. And this is the most interesting, I think, in my opinion, weather history that we've ever had. It goes back about 1,000 years. The oldest weather history we've ever had on the show is right here. Back in the year 1091, or do we say 1091, England's earliest known tornado was also one of its strongest on record. It has been rated as an EF4 and devastated central London. The church at St. Mary Le Bow was badly damaged with 4 rafters, each 26 feet long, driven 22 feet into the ground. Other churches in the area were demolished as there were over 600 houses. If you Google that, you can see a lot more information about that and how that was recorded. Very interesting. So a long, long time ago, the oldest weather history we've ever had, 1091. 1920, Dr. Fujita, the F scale for rating tornadoes, he was born on that date. 1947, in Marksville, Louisiana, thousands of fish fell from the sky. I'm telling you, this is the most interesting weather history we've ever had. Marksville, Louisiana, thousands of fish fell from the sky in an area 1,000 feet by 80 feet wide, possibly due to a water spout, sucking up the fish. 2002, visibility was reduced to less than 100 meters during an Australian dust storm, worst dust storm in 30 years. And 2015, Hurricane Patricia became the strongest hurricane ever recorded in the Western Hemisphere with winds at 200 miles per hour. Very low pressure, obviously. The eye came ashore in Mexico with 165 mile per hour winds. Cool weather history for today. Crazy weather history. All right, your weather jokes for today. All right. These are your stupid weather jokes. I'm afraid for the calendar. Its days are numbered. How do you follow Will Smith in the snow? You follow the Fresh Prince. Get it? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Yeah. If April showers bring May flowers, what do May flowers bring? Pilgrims. The Mayflower. Mayflowers. All right. There's your weather jokes. They're free every day. All right. Here's your forecast today as we sum it up. For your Thursday, October 23rd, 61 degrees for our high temperature. Sunny and cool, a bit breezy, a lot like what we had yesterday. Just a little bit lighter winds, northwest and around 10 to 20. Our sunset at 6:53. And tonight's forecast, 37 degrees. There will be some colder spots. That's why there's a freeze warning. Could see some areas dipping to 32, like they did up around Indianapolis last night, and just a light northwest breeze. Tomorrow's forecast, your Friday, it's almost here, October 24th. Some frosty spots in the morning with 30s, 55 at noon, 62 for the afternoon high with lots of sunshine. Our normal high is 67, so we're running about 5 degrees below normal. These are the latest sunrises, by the way. We're going to drop back an hour and not to, what was that, 10 days? So our sunrises will be a little after 7 a.m. and still instead of a little after 8 a.m. In just about 10 days. But these are the latest sunrises of the year. Sunset at 6:52. Your 7-day forecast. Get a little more unsettled as we head into next week, but tomorrow looks good. 61, that high temperature. Looking at 63 and really leveling off in the upper 50s and low 60s over the next 7 days with lows mostly in the 40s, except for tonight as we go to the 30s. Saturday, we're keeping that mainly dry. We'll see that on the weather models here in just a second. Maybe late Saturday, a light rain shower or sprinkle, and then we'll give it about a 40% chance of some spotty showers developing on Sunday, some on and off rain chances Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we could turn a bit chillier late next week as we get toward, that'll be October 30th, toward Halloween, and then maybe a bigger chill on the way as we go into early November, which we'll take a look with the long-range data here in just a second. Lily and Lasley, you are getting awesome with the jokes. Thank you very much. We'll keep doing it as long as Lillian enjoys the jokes. Big Happy enjoys the jokes. Big Happy's got my back as well. All right. So that is the forecast. Let's start to pop up the weather models here. Let me get rid of that and bring up this. And of course, this is your weather show too, by the way. If you have any weather questions, feel free to drop in. If you want to see a forecast and we're on something else and if I'm jabbering away, feel free to just say, I want to see this. And we can certainly detour and look at different stuff as well. A lot of different maps we can look at if you're interested in something too. So this is the radar and satellite. Things are really quiet around our region. As I back out slowly, there is an area of low pressure developing out over the Four Corners region that will eventually slide to the east. So there's a little bit of rain out that direction. And as this moves to the east, it'll start to spread some rain over the Great Plains and then the Midwest, and eventually start to move our direction, especially Sunday into next week. Slow moving low pressure system heading our direction. That'll be our next rainmaker, so to speak. All right, let me get out of the full screen mode here. And we'll just bring up some current conditions before we bring up the future radar, the weather model data. And so taking a look here at current temperatures. So actually, there's kind of a big chill over much of the United States. Cold front has moved off the Gulf Coast. And bring it to time now right here. We should see those temps pop up. So there we go. You see it's a little colder for our friends up to the north. You got some 20s up here in North Dakota, below freezing temperatures to our northwest. And that's kind of where our flow comes from. But those temperatures moderate a bit before they get here. The only real warmth way down in southern Texas, southern Florida, a little coolish even for our friends down over the deep south. Okay, bringing up the future radar here. And we go to the weather models. I'm going to bring up the NAM 3 kilometer. We're going to jump past Friday. Let's see if we can get anything on our Saturday, the 25th. My wife's birthday, by the way. So this is going into 10 a.m. Saturday. There you can see that rain out to our west, especially. That's that low pressure system that's over the Four Corners of the desert Southwest now. Starts to move off to the east. Notice a sprinkle or two just out to our west there Saturday. I'm going to take this as far out as this weather model goes. And it shows it's going to be fighting some dry air over us as it initially moves in. So I think it's going to be pretty cloudy for our Saturday. That'll hold temperatures down a little bit. Won't be too breezy with this system. But we might later in the day start to see some of these sprinkles slide in late Saturday. But I think a lot of our Saturday is going to be dry. But that there is a snapshot at 2 p.m. Saturday with the rain still mainly out to the west. A bunch of rain, in fact, there over Missouri, Arkansas, into Kansas and Oklahoma. So that's as far out as the high resolution data goes. So we need to switch into the GFS weather model, and we'll take it out from there with the GFS. It's got, some sprinkly activity perhaps over southern Indiana, pretty dry over Kentucky through much of the day Saturday. I'm only dropping like a 20% chance late Saturday of that rain. This is Saturday evening at 8 p.m. And so Saturday looks like the better day of the weekend. Going into Saturday night, overnight, starting to see some of that rain spread over the area. I'm now going into Sunday morning as we're looking hour by hour here through the weekend. Those rain chances. This is Sunday morning, some showers possible. This is 11 a.m. Sunday, I should say, or October 26th. And there you can see the potential for maybe some heavier showers developing Sunday afternoon. This is Sunday at 5 p.m. The other models, too, the European weather model and the Canadian, also are a pretty good agreement with the rain chance picking up on Sunday and maybe lingering into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as well, on and off with this low pressure system. So now we're going into Sunday night. You can see that rain across the area. Now going into, if you want to hopefully we get our last, maybe this will be the last mow we need to do. So I would advise that between now and Saturday, as it's going to get a bit wet Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So some outdoor chores, getting things done. I would advise through Saturday, not looking as good starting on Sunday. So, okay, back to the models we go. This is now into Monday morning, the 27th, and into our Monday afternoon. There you can still see a decent rain chance across the area. This is just a slow, low pressure system. Low pressure, the air rises, the air cools, it condenses, creates clouds, creates rain showers. High pressure is the opposite. It's sinking air, and the clouds dissipate. So the low pressure system still lingering around the area. This is Monday afternoon. I'm going to take this into next Tuesday morning, the 28th. I don't think it's going to be, washout by any means, but, some scattered showers from time to time. This model shows just kind of some sprinkly stuff around the area into the 28th, which is next Tuesday. I'm going to jump ahead to next Wednesday, and it still has some showers around the area. So a bit unsettled next week, a lot of clouds. We've enjoyed sunshine for a long time, guys, but get ready. A cloudy pattern is on the way. We might have days of just clouds Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That time of the year, we get closer to November, we're getting into a cloudier weather pattern, and it can affect people. Everybody knows about SAD, seasonal affective disorder. Start to lose that sunshine, gets gloomier. I don't know if you've ever felt that way. You just kind of get a little gloomier in the wintertime. It is pretty common. So there you go. That is Wednesday. Now, most of the models start to dry us out next Thursday. That is the 30th of October. Now we're getting into the latter days of the month as this low pressure system starts to move off to the east there Thursday. And then some cooler air starts to drop in. This is October 31st. This is our Halloween. So this is Friday. Hey, a Friday Halloween. That'll be fun. And let's bring up the temperature map here. So that behind that system, we got a blue United States of America, meaning some chilly weather dropping down from Canada. And by the way, Canada has, and Alaska is building up cold weather. They got negative numbers, single-digit numbers, and that may not be unleashed for quite some time. But we're getting some chillier bouts of air every once in a while. So this is looking into a Halloween morning, and our temperatures here are not that bad, kind of where they're at right now. So that's not looking too bad. Into our Halloween afternoon. This is at 2 p.m. Of course, right after Halloween, November 2nd is when the time changes. So not this weekend, next weekend. Saturday night, we'll need to set those clocks back an hour. Again, not this weekend, next weekend as we head into November. So this is our last October weekend. That's crazy. Orlean Whitlow saying, well, that's the one thing I dread is the cloudy days in fall and winter. I love the sunshine. I know. I mean, a full sunny day gets a lot more rare as we get closer to winter time. Lillian saying, will our first snow get bad? I really don't know. It's hard to tell when we'll get our first snow. We should take a bet on here when we think we'll get our first, let's say, like an inch of snow. We will see. Of course, the seasonal forecast is wildly inaccurate. Whoever thinks they can forecast 3 months out is insane. But I mean, there are some things like La Nina and the temperatures in the northern Pacific, and people talk about the North Atlantic oscillation and all these, what they're called teleconnections, and they can make the jet stream behave in a certain way for a while. But even with all that said, a lot of times forecast that far out is just going to be incredibly difficult. Alice Young says, I dread this cold weather. You're not alone. Carol Payne, good morning. Another great day. You got it. So this is 2 p.m. Shows 50s for Halloween afternoon. So we'll see how accurate this is. We'll just kind of keep in mind, now that this is showing 50s, and we'll fine tune the forecast. But I'm kind of buying that. I've got us down to the 50s next Thursday. So I think we'll be on the cool side of things. This is 5 p.m., like getting ready for trick-or-treat time, 50s. So maybe the warm costumes will be good. Now, I think we're going to see some chillier air linger as we start our November. And if you remember, I had National Weather Service meteorologist Brian Newdorf on, was that Tuesday? And he mentioned that they've seen, when they look back, a pattern where if you have an above normal October, which we have, then they've often seen a correlation of below normal temperatures in December. So keep that in the back of our mind as well. Going back to the models here, I'm going to take us into, this would be Saturday, November the 1st. Kind of normal chill around the area. As we back up the view, notice there, as we start off next month, there is a pattern here. This is a ridge, and then there's a trough right here in the jet stream. So we're on the edge of this trough. A trough, if you think kind of like a bowl in the jet stream, fills in with chilly air. The ridge or the hump in the jet stream out west, that is your above normal temperatures. So let me also real quick bring up, as we go up towards the jet stream, and see if that kind of matches up. And it does. So check out the jet stream pattern here as we expand out our view. So if this pattern sets up for us and kind of locks in, they're going to be warmer out west. So this would be all above normal temperatures. And then we get this northwest flow, and that will keep us kind of locked in a chilly, cool weather pattern as we start our next month, which isn't far away. Again, not this weekend, next weekend. So that's very important to look at, is the orientation of the jet stream and how it's shaped. That kind of opens the door to some chilly weather right there. As we look at, we're looking at the longer range. So that now means I get a little brief coffee break. The bin on a limb there. Okay, so there we go with that jet stream diving down. We'll go forward in time. And just kind of look at the jet stream and how it is shaped going into our November 2nd. Look at that. If that were to set up, that is a strong jet stream, by the way. That flow is coming in from the northwest, 120 mile per hour winds up and around 18,000 feet right there, even stronger winds possibly above that. So there you go. If this sets up, we've got a flow coming out of Canada there. You can see that dropping down like that. And let's bring up the temperature map to correlate with that jet stream right there. What is that? What is, oh, we don't need to look at Cape. Let's bring back up the temperature map. And yes, this is some chilly air, guys. Let's take a look. Let's query that. Ooh, it's trying to come down our way. Well, if you see the pink colors, that is really cold air, by the way. Let's zoom into our area. So that would be, you can see that. You can see that difference in air mass right here. So if this shapes up, we are on the cold side of the jet stream. And so as we zoom in a little bit closer here, this is our November the 2nd morning. So that would be, what, a couple Sundays from now? And that's starting to show some chillier numbers there, maybe a little bit lower into the 30s. This is our November 2nd afternoon, showing highs in the 40s, 50s, and warmer out west. Look at that contrast in temperatures, that short distance out to the west, the sharp difference there around the Mississippi River. East is cold, and then out to the west is warmer. So this is our first couple days. Again, not this weekend, next weekend into November. Going into, I think this would be Monday, November the 3rd. All right, now we're starting to get some of those pink colors. Maybe that's when we start to see our first 20s. And that would be technically a hard freeze across the area. That would definitely end the growing season right there. Into 2 p.m. on November 3rd, highs in the 40s. Who is loving the cold weather potential? And we're going to see if this continues to lock on and continues. So that goes, that's exactly what's the jet stream locking in. Again, early November. Let's see if this pattern continues to show up in the models, because this would be a kind of a significant weather pattern change towards the colder. And the ridge is out west. So they're warm out here. And then we would be on the chilly side. And with the chilly side, I'm just going to do an unhappy face. So there you go. That might be a decent weather pattern change starting next weekend. We'll see. Day by day, we'll continue to look at the models and see if this continues to hold true. And if this pattern locks on, the confidence grows that this will happen. So there you go. That has been the good old Ben on a Limb segment there for you. All right. Let's bring back the forecast. We'll do a recap. And we are cruising along on a Thursday. All right. We got a comment that popped in. We got a good morning from Amber Terry. Thanks for tuning in here this morning. And Orlean says, that's just too cold. Just too cold. It's happening. November starts to chill down. We're getting closer and closer. So Carol says, so basically Halloween will be cool. Yeah, right now it is. And we'll continue to update, fine tune that day by day as we get closer as well. It's looking like it. All right, let's bring back the forecast and we'll start to wrap things up on the Monday. Why did I say Monday? Who wants to do Monday again? On a Thursday, October the 23rd. Freeze warning for tonight. That means your sensitive plants could be in trouble. If you want them to last longer, you might want to protect them. Mostly dry through Saturday. Might be a sprinkle or two late Saturday. Showers likely around the area Sunday, and more rain chances Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. And there's that freeze warning for much of the area for tonight. And moving right along here, the high today, 61 degrees, but much of the day in the 50s. And a northwest wind around 10 to 20. Gets a little breezy in the afternoon, and then once the sun sets, the winds will die off. Only 10 days to that time change we were talking about. November, not this weekend, next weekend. 5:42 p.m. sunset. Average highs in the 50s in just 19 days. Average first flurries in 23. Thanksgiving in 35 days. Mike Whaley saying, bring in my flowers or push them under the porch. There you go. It's either let them live or let them die this time of the year. And this was interesting. Now, I'll put this at around noon today on Facebook, but this was our oldest weather history. In the year 1091, England's earliest tornado and one of the strongest on record, estimated at an EF4. And you can Google that, by the way. Interesting weather history there. Your weather jokes. I'm afraid for the calendar. Its days are numbered. How do you follow Will Smith in the snow? You follow the Fresh Prince Bel-Air. If April showers bring May flowers, what do flowers bring? What do Mayflowers bring? Pilgrims. There you go. Our high today, 61 degrees, sunny and cool, a bit breezy out there again for today. A lot like yesterday, but not quite as windy. 37 our low for tonight. Again, a freeze warning across the area. Tomorrow's forecast for your Friday, October the 24th, a lot like today. Lighter winds out there after a frosty start, potentially, especially for outlying areas. 55 at noon, 62 tomorrow afternoon, about 5 degrees below our normal high of 67. In our 7-day forecast here, we got 61 for Friday. Upper 50s, low 60s throughout the long range. Lows mostly in the 40s. Slight chance of maybe some sprinkles late Saturday. Better chance of some scattered showers Sunday into Monday. Could linger into Tuesday, Wednesday as well. Heading toward Thursday, that is October 30th. That is Trunk or Treat Fest at Ivy Tech. This weekend, Saturday, it's looking good so far to be outside for IUS Fest, presented by NWSB. I'll be out there 11 to 2 p.m. If you want to come stop by, say hello. We'll be at the NWSB booth. They've got pumpkin painting, learning booths, trunk or treat, beer and wine garden for the parents, student band, touch a truck, inflatables, yard games, volleyball game, all kinds of stuff out there. And then again, following week, next Thursday, a week from now, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Mark it on the calendar for the kids. Pile up on that candy. They got the Trunk or Treat Fest at Ivy Tech. We'll be talking more about that next week. All right, bring him back to the stage here. This is a look at extolmag.com/weather. You can see all of the frost advisories, freeze warnings throughout the region. Temperature map right there in the 40s. And our wind today is going to be from the west and northwest at around 10 to 20. The lows this morning on the Indiana Mesonet stations dropped down to 36, 35 in many locations, down to around freezing up in Indianapolis. Been looking at the beautiful start to our day with the fallstheohio.org camera. Falls, the Ohio Foundation right there. The Brown County cam, starting to see a little bit more color out there. I think it's going to be next week into the first week of November, our peak fall color. Melissa is going to be making network news, dumping too much rain over areas around Jamaica as it sits there and becomes possibly a major hurricane down in the Caribbean and just sits there. I can't remember the last time I've seen a hurricane just sit in one spot for days and days. That map goes all the way through next Monday. That'll be interesting to watch. I want to thank our partners here for allowing us to do what we do and being part of the weather family here on Ben at 10. Lions Roofing, lionsroofingco.com, 812-294-359. Free estimates here online. And you might have to hook up with your insurance company. I recommend American Family Insurance to you, especially Michael Long, our Hoosier AM-FAM insurance agent here. He got you covered in all throughout the state of Indiana. He's got products in Kentucky as well. Whatever it might be that you want to get insured, I recommend you get a quote from him, 812-578-3072. Go to amfam.com. You can see his page right there. Tuesdays at the Tech is time when you get one-on-one information right there on the campus at Ivy Tech Community College, the Sellersburg campus. Friendly folks there with the faculty and administration. Great folks. And you can just go to ivytech.edu, click on Sellersburg, and you can learn about the Ivy experience. They got videos, they've got maps, tutorials. They've got they've got financial help, career counseling, all the things that you need to level up your career, get your career started. And again, they're powering the workforce here in Southern Indiana and beyond and into Kentucky as well. Thanks to our friends too at Libs Paving. They've got available opportunities here. This is at libspaving.com. You can see that you might be able to get a job opportunity right there. They've had a good week of work. Next week, not looking so good with the rain chances, unfortunately. So again, thanks to all of our partners there. I want to remind you too, you can always get your weather resources here at extolmag.com/weather. We have the hour-by-hour outlook, 7-day forecast, lots of weather maps here for you, weather and traffic, interactive radar, lots of different variables you can play on and be your own meteorologist right there. So a lot of good resources here for us locally. And one last thing to remind you, if you ever want to join up and be part of the team, we can be your Southern Indiana megaphone and get your word out for your organization, your business. Let us know. You can see your logo on our products and our content reaching well over 1 million folks over the last 28 days just on my page. Ben at extolmag.com, Jason at extolmag.com. So Thank you so much for watching here. We're stepping down. This is the fall season. That means things fall, leaves fall, temperatures fall. And so we're stepping down to upper 50s, low 60s over the next 7 days. I think the first week of November might step down another notch. So that is what we'll be talking about. And eventually it's going to be the silly season, what I call it, when we start to get those first snows and everybody goes crazy. So fun times ahead, guys. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being a part of the show. As always, if you're watching the replay, thanks for watching. Feel free to drop in the comments. If you ever have a weather question, help guide the show. Let us know what maps that you might want to see, and we can do that for you. And Lily and Lasley, we'll leave it right there. Have an awesome day. Thanks for liking or subscribing, whether it's on my page. That goes a long way for us. Extol Media on YouTube. I saw a few of you watching on the YouTube, and extolmag.com/weather online. Extol Weather on Facebook. Well, that does it for a Friday Eve, our Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow for TGIF edition.